Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Collar Wealth Club podcast. I'm your host, Jerry Garcia. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Bob Muller. Bob Muller runs a podcast as well and has a TikTok channel called Contractors Stories. Looking very much forward to having you on and having you tell us some stories that hopefully can help us all out in this crazy business world.
Thanks for having me, Jerry. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how Contractor Stories came to be and kind of your background?
Contractor Stories is kind of a long time in the wait type of a thing. I mean, obviously, it was designed around telling stories from contractors that have kind of reached the pinnacle of their career more. I'm not so much trying to bring on the guys that are just starting their journey, and that's not because I don't want to talk about their story, but typically a story has a beginning and an ending, and I'm looking more towards the guys towards the ending of their career, because I believe that every single contractor, they got to start somewhere. My start was back in 1989, coming out of the military from the Army, and my skill set was being able to dig holes pretty competently. As an infantry soldier, we learned how to dig a hole. So I translated that into the ability to dig holes in the plumbing world and made quick work of that and made that into a skill set. So you take your skill set, you learn how to become a competent plumber over the course of 8,000 training hours through a training program. They don't teach you anything about business. They don't teach you anything about how to run reports or KPIs or anything like that. They just teach you how to be a competent technician. And I used that skill set for quite some time and thought I always knew how to take that skill and do better than the guy that I'm working for, right? So it's like you start learning the lessons the hard way about what it takes to actually run a business. After I started that transition into running businesses, I went through a 20-year plus process of learning how to run businesses, which now kind of puts me at the end of the story of where I'm at now, of taking that skill set, finally learning how to run businesses through processes, procedures, knowing how to read reports, knowing how to take care of the KPIs and things like that, which gave me an ability to acquire companies, be able to actually use that magical word called arbitrage and take the broken businesses that aren't running so effectively and use those into the systems and processes and procedures that my company's done over the course of many years. And I'm able to now take that and use that to my advantage. So for me, what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring on other guys that have reached a pinnacle in their career, talk about their story, talk about their journey, and just remind everybody that this thing doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, it's a process, and success happens in usually 10-year stints. And I like to take guys from in their 20s into their 30s and kind of like put them in their box and their mindset of where they should be thinking. And it's not for everybody, but it's pretty much a one-size-fits-most box. And then you got a 30 to 40-year-old box. That's a one-size-fits-most as well. And then you got your guys that are in their 40 to 50 box, and then you can take it from there. So I like to look at the guys in the journeys they're on, kind of see where they're at, and I like to take those high achievers, and we talk about it so that everybody can really get to that journey quicker, because that's why we read books, that's why we talk to mentors, because it really shortens our learning curve if we use those people and their experiences to our advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to hear you say that, because one of the things that I preach, we talk about on this podcast a lot, is we don't really teach get rich quick. We teach get rich right. And there's a lot of work in the in-between, right? We don't teach short-term solutions, we teach long-term solutions, and there's a lot of grinding. There's a lot of pain and effort and energy that goes into building things the right way. But when you build it in that correct way, it's got that stronger foundation. It's a lot harder to knock down and a lot harder to take away once you've built things the right way. So absolutely love hearing you say that, and love that you're teaching people where they're at. That's such a key to get people to just find you wherever they're at on their own journey, listen to these stories, and see that vision from beginning to end. Where they want to be. So kudos to you on that. I think that's really awesome. It's a lot of what we're trying to teach here. Glad to hear somebody else in a very similar space, because I think there's just not enough of us doing it.
Yeah, no, I think the space has definitely got room for more creators out there. I literally just had Roger Wakefield on my podcast yesterday, And he's reached a massive pinnacle, the largest probably social media influencer in our space, I should say. When you talk to guys like that, it really sharpens your mind a little bit, because not only are we talking about a guy that took a skill set and perfected it, and took that skill set and turned it into a business, and then he perfected a business, and then he took that business skill set and perfected it into a personal brand. So when you talk about a guy that does something and he has the trifecta of the three, he perfected a business skill set, a personal skill set, and a brand. Some guys go their whole life and they do not do one of those things. And when you have somebody that can do all three, it really changes how you should be looking at where you are on your journey. You should be looking at, am I really interested in what I'm doing? Am I really committed to what I'm doing? Or am I obsessed with what I'm doing? And if you're obsessed with what you're doing, you're going to be really, really passionate about the skill you're learning first. Say, for instance, if you're learning concrete, you're learning electrical, you're learning plumbing, you're learning HVAC. If you're obsessed with that, you're going to be taking that to the next level, and you're probably going to want to turn it into a business. And then now you got to put on your business hat, and you got to perfect business as well. And business, it takes a team effort. And I'm telling guys, like, if you really want to take this thing to the next level and you want to go to building your personal brand, now you get influence. And when you get influence, you get people that are interested in you. And the more people that you get interested in you, the more people that reach out to you, the more opportunities that you get. So when you combine all three, man, it's powerful.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly, and I think you're exactly right in saying most of the people I think who start these blue collar service type businesses, most of them aren't business people. It's like you said, you work for somebody, you learn the skill, you perfect the skill, and then eventually you start to think that, hey, I should be making more money for doing all the work on these jobs. Then you hop into business, right, and you realize that you're paying your guys more than you're probably bringing in yourself. Until you really learn how to shift that mindset and build that business the proper way, there's a lot of trial and error and a lot of realization that just because the owner of the business has their name on the company doesn't mean they're always the one bringing home the most money.
Yeah, no, there's little doubt about that. I've actually got guys in my own business that make more than a lot of the CEOs in most businesses, and they're just technicians. And so it's like these guys learning the right systems and processes and procedures, you can really do well in the blue collar space, which I think there's a big hidden gem. And as I'm reading a lot of the articles out there, I'm seeing that Gen Z is really starting to get more interested in the blue collar space, which we love. But I think that a lot of the blue collar labor force out there over the last 10, 15 years has really left the field more than has entered the field. So it's been a shortage that we've had. I truly believe that there's an opportunity out there for people that not only learn a skill, but also learn how to run a business, because we need more businesses out there that are providing the job. For what I like to do, I like to try to get people on a fast track to not only learn the skill set, but learn the business side of it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we talked about previously, and there's a lot of businesses coming for sale right now, right? I mean, that baby boomer generation is at the point where most of them are trying to exit. And so there's a lot of opportunity, not only as a business owner, but as somebody maybe trying to get into a business, to maybe enter not from square one, but enter into a business that has a history, has a foundation built, has a customer base, or as add-on services. There's so much opportunity right now here in the next 5-10 years especially, to really shrink that curve. I mean, there's no better way to shrink that curve other than to come into something that's already got an established base.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of, I would say, broken businesses out there, but then there's a lot of businesses that just need a new owner. These guys are ready to retire, and it's not that they all have broken businesses, but they need somebody to pick it up where they left off, and there's a lot of opportunity in that, because there's a lot of businesses still missing those pieces. Because I like to put businesses in boxes, and just like I like to put people in boxes, I put businesses in there as well, and a lot of those just have to do with basically what those businesses need in order for them to achieve that next pinnacle. Meaning, if you're a business doing under $1 million, you don't need all of the same things or tools in that company as the one that's doing $3 to $5 million or one that's even hit $1 million. So it's like, if you're under $1 million, you need to know these basic principles and you need to put these in your box. If you want to get to the next box, you need these. And if you want to get to the next box, you need these. But a lot of guys don't even put the right stuff inside their one box, and they're trying to get to $10 million and they can't figure it out. So I like to try to put people where they're at, talk about where their business is, and we go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the process of acquiring a business, and it's kind of exactly what you're talking about. The guys had this business going for quite a long time, but he was running it as a solo owner, and really couldn't get it past a certain level because he needs that second body there, or that partner, or that strategic advisor to really bring in and give him those insights into how he could take it from where it's at to that next level. And so we're in discussions there about maybe creating some sort of a partnership so he can get a little bit more out of that business than he would have if he just sold it for parts right now.
Yeah, no, I like that. And the truth is that it's the old principle of, one horse pulling a wagon has a very long haul to go, right? But two horses pulling that wagon, it's like the same work of like 10 horses, because the synergy that you get between two horses pulling a cart, the way that works is that it transfers a lot of the power to a lot of different portions of the muscle, and you can do a lot more when you got two horses doing that. So if you're the one horse in your company and you feel stuck, it's because you don't have anybody helping you pull all those extra things that really need to be pulled. When you can look at, like, from the accounting standpoint, you can look at the marketing standpoint, you can look at your back office, you can look at HR, how you hire, you can look at how you fire. I mean, you can look at everything that has to do with running reports and being balanced in your company. If you're just the one person doing all of that, it's a heavy lift. So when you got multiple people pulling your company along the way with you, and you got a lot of horses running with you, you can do a lot more. And that's why I like to make sure that everybody's understanding where they need to be. And when you can start taking some of those hats off and transferring those to the right people is when you actually got a business that you're running.
No, that's excellent. And I assume you have how many businesses are you kind of working with or operating? Is it multiple, or you do have mainly one that you focus on?
So I got my main business, which is my personal plumbing, heating, and cooling, and then I've got another small company called My Guy, another brand, but we have multiple companies under the personal plumbing brand that I've acquired. So I've kind of gone through the philosophy of rolling up companies to run with my. It's cheaper in your marketing spend if you are actually using that philosophy over using, let's put a bunch of dollars out in the market and see how many customers I can purchase with marketing compared to how many customers I can acquire through acquiring somebody's company that has 20, 30,000 customers in their database. It's an instant amount of customers that I'm purchasing. They're purchasing, and they're going to be my customer. They've got a lifetime value associated to that customer, and they're going to be a customer I can immediately start working with, not to mention I'm getting their assets, right? So I'm getting their tools, I'm getting their employees, I'm getting those extra horses running in my company that I'm not having to go. If I spend, a couple $100,000 a month in marketing compared to spending a couple $100,000 to put down on a company and taking all of those assets with me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so key. What is how do you advise somebody who's kind of maybe in their business and kind of hit that plateau? What's usually the first piece of advice you're giving them to kind of send them on their way to that next level and maybe break through that ceiling they're seeing right now?
Yeah. My first advice is I need to know where you're at, because I find that 90% of the companies that I talk to are just undercapitalized. They don't have any money to spend. So it's like they hold on to every single dollar like it's their last dollar they ever had in their life, right? A scarcity mindset. So the first thing that I need to make sure is that you know how to use capital, right? So you got to first capitalize your company. Like the first time I ever made $1 million in my business is when I borrowed $1 million. And when I took that $1 million and put that to work for me, I was able to actually start making money in my company, because now what can I do? I can hire managers. I can hire people in my company. I can actually start putting a real brand on my truck. I can actually start buying tools that actually are going to do the jobs that I needed to get done. It shrunk the amount of time that it took me to do everything, because I never had money in my bank account to do anything with. So the first thing that you got to do is you got to capitalize your company. If you do not have capital, you're not going to be in business for very long. It's literally the oxygen in your company. So most people, when they go to the doctor, they get their blood oxygen level measured. People that have low blood oxygen level in their body, they're dying. If you have low blood oxygen level in your bank account, you are just about dead. So that's the first thing you got to do.
Absolutely. And what's the easiest way? I mean, you could bring on capital partners, obviously. If your business has been in a cash flow position, you can maybe take advantage of some lending options. You know, what path do you see to get that capital injection that you need quickly and pull yourself out of that? Well,
so there's two different ways. So depending on how long your business has been in business, SBA loans are by far the best way to do it because they're the cheapest money out there, right? And anytime that you can get money for less than you're making on it, for instance, if you know that you're making 40% gross profit on your money when you're putting it to use out there, if your lending is less than your gross profit margin, it's money that's well spent. So if you're taking a 10% loan, or if you're fortunate like back when I got mine and that was under 5% money, it's basically free money, right? So you take that money and you put that to work for you. So you can do it through an SBA loan. If you don't have the ability to go out there and get an SBA loan, then I need to tell you, you need to start working on a business that's attractable, that you can attract investors to your company. Because like for me, I had 100% ownership of my company. So if I've got a company that has any value to it, if I'm giving small ghost shares to somebody to come in and do some heavy lifting work for me, like I brought in a CFO, try to hire a CFO. Some CFOs, it's going to cost you $400,000 to bring in a CFO for a yearly salary if you're hiring a really good guy. If you're getting a guy with an MBA, well, if you get a guy with an MBA that's aligned with knowing what that end result is, what those shares are worth, a lot of times they're coming in for just the cost of the shares, and they're going to come in and come to work for you. That's working capital. That's sweat equity capital. If you're looking for somebody that's wanting to invest money into you, then you need to start attracting somebody that has money in return for some of your shares of your company. So again, you got to have something that has got value to it, that you've managed good books with, that you can show turns a good profit. You might not have the credit or the stuff that the bank's looking for, but those investors out there that want to put money to work will definitely invest in your company if you're doing it right.
Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. I gave you a little bit of background on who I am and who my fiance is, who's also my co-host. She's a fractional CFO. This is how we try to provide value to businesses. I'm in a certification process to become a fractional COO, so that these are the types of advisors you want to bring on board and get them to help you, whether it's on a retainer basis and whether it's on an equity basis, like you mentioned. This is the best and easiest ways to scale without having to go through all the trial and error over the course of however many years it takes you.
Yeah. No, I agree. So like the only way that you can really scale a business is with a lot of people. And if you don't do it with having a business that's run under the processes and procedures, you're just not going to attract anybody. Like if you, for instance, the month that I had my record month, I was gone for 3 weeks out of that month. I wasn't even in the company one day. And we had one of the best months we ever had. So that's a business, right? That means that there's people there working the processes and procedures that need to operate the company. The company's the company, the owner's separate from the company. If you were to sell your company and you still need to be there, what value are you bringing to somebody's, that's bringing money to your company to invest in it?
Right, you're selling them a job at that point, right? And I
Yep,
think
exactly.
that's the biggest key for those of you who are out there trying to build a business that you can sell. You want to get those multiples from your business. You have to build it in that way, like you said. You need to be able to step away, and if that business keeps running, and even better, if it keeps growing and giving you record months, like you said, that's where all the value of that business is. There may be somebody willing to buy a job, to buy your route on whatever landscaping company you have, but most people, if you want to get that top dollar, you're 100% right. You need to build it in such a way that they're buying a company that they can oversee the grander vision of, rather than buying a job.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, that's sound advice, and of course, look to mentors and look to advisors, because there's no better way to invest in your own financial wisdom. You're going to get financial wisdom whether it's through buying it from somebody or you just paying for it because you're not making the money you should be making because you never bought it to begin with.
Right. You're paying that sweat.
You're paying either way.
No, that's awesome. Well, I love it, Bob. This has been so good, so much valuable advice. I absolutely love finding others who are so in line with everything that we're trying to teach and do. I always like to ask, what's a good book that you recommend somebody read if they're in business or looking to get into business or reach that next level?
Yeah, so the one that I really enjoyed reading for myself, and it only because it added value to me. Of course, you read all of them. Everybody that has been in the business world, they've all read all of the staples. I like to find the little hidden gems, and one of them that I really enjoyed was "Buy Back Your Time" by Dan Martell. It's one of those easy reads that really teaches you to value your time. So if you're not paying somebody to do something, how much is that time costing you? And if it's costing you a lot of money that you're missing, pay that, go hire somebody to do that, and then use that time to go make the money you're missing. So really it teaches you in phases on how to really buy back your time and how to really build a business successfully. I like that one a lot, but I'll leave with the Patrick Bet-David one, which is the Choose Your Enemies Wisely, because I really think that you need both, right? You need your enemies and you need your allies. And so it's like you do need to choose your enemies, the people that you're going after. In the competition world, you need to know who those people are, and you need to choose them wisely. And I think it's a really good book. I think it's an easy read as well, and I think it's an important one for anybody in business to read.
No, that one's fantastic. I've never heard of that book, so I'll definitely be checking that out. I'm always looking for the next read, so really appreciate it.
Yep.
If people want to get a hold of you or find out more about what you are doing with Contractor Stories, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, so I do consulting. So if you want to reach me through that, you can always hit me up on the LinkedIn. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, which is through the Bob Muller on the LinkedIn one. But reach out to me on my through my podcast as well. You can get through me at the contractorstories.com, contractorstories.com, and that's where you can reach me through doing consulting with me, or if you even want to start your own little podcast, we have that type of a little feature as well for people that want to start their own little thing that teaches people about how to tell the story about their own little features in their company. So we try to do these little podcasts for them to help them get their brand put out there is kind of what I'm trying to help them do.
Oh, that's awesome. Definitely check out the podcast. Go download it. You on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I take it, anywhere you can find those.
Yeah, so on YouTube for sure.
Okay, great. On YouTube as well. I know you got a big TikTok channel. I saw it's 44,000 followers or something. So
yeah, we're getting up there. I mean, we're organically trying to pace that thing right now. It's been fun. I enjoy doing the TikTok stuff. I actually like to do a little bit of content repurposing of some other people that I really think is some of the messages that are highly important for people to get out there, because I think there's a lot of people that give a really good message out there, but then of course I like to put my own little spin on it and do my own little thing as well.
No, that's great. I'll definitely be checking you out more. I went ahead and gave you a follow, so looking forward to hearing more and just figuring out what you're doing and seeing, directing people your way. I mean, you're doing some great stuff out there, and hopefully, we can collaborate some more and definitely continue to get the message out there.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for hopping on, and everyone, we will catch you next time.